Hello, I'm Corey Hello, and welcome to another episode of Critimation, where I review animated TV shows and films. As always, I do not own any of these films or shows. They are properties of their respected owners. For this episode of Critimation, I will be covering public domain cartoons, which means no one has ownership over them. And for our first topic, we will be covering a recently public domain status cartoon, which many of you may recall as the debut of one of the most iconic cartoon characters in history, Steamboat Wille. Because of how well known it is, I do not feel the need to have to do a plot summary like I usually do. So with that in mind, let's jump into some behind the scenes facts about this iconic short. While technically not the first cartoon to be in sound, it was the first to have synchronized sound. Walt got the idea to use sound in this cartoon after seeing the controversial film The Jazz Singer, and according to his brother Roy, felt that it would greatly increase the appeal of cartoons. In addition to being one of the first sound cartoons, it also was the first to have a post-production soundtrack as well. The film also has two melodies from pop culture. The opening features the melody to Steamboat Wille, which Mickey whistles, and the one played at the film's climax is the folk song Turkey in the Straw. You may also recognize the song for being the basics to Wakko's America, and pretty much any time a turkey appears in a cartoon. And while black and white cartoons may not be for everyone, I would definitely consider this one as a must-see for any Disney fan. Our next segment is based around the Flip the Frog cartoon, Fiddle Sticks. Created by Mickey Mouse designer Ub Iwerks, who had decided to leave the Walt Disney Studio based around how Walt was treating him at that point, and opened his own animation studio. Distributed by MGM, Flip the Frog was the only major cartoon character who would have repeated appearances. Fiddle Sticks, his debut cartoon, is nothing special beyond being one of the early color shorts. It's basically just Flip dancing and playing a piano alongside a suspiciously familiar looking mouse on violin. In general, I wouldn't recommend this cartoon to anyone, partially because, as with the rest of the films in the Flip the Frog series, Flip doesn't really have a distinct personality that makes him distinguishable from other cartoon characters. In fact, it often changes between cartoons. So that's pretty much why he's not as recognizable as Mickey Mouse per se. But if you are interested in looking at his cartoons, a DVD collection of them have been restored for Blu-ray and is available online. Our last segment for this episode will be the Fleischer's film, Gulliver's Travels, which is based off the first part of a book series by Jonathan Swift. After being shipwrecked during a storm, Gulliver is washed upon a shore, where he's discovered by Gabby, the town crier. Gabby, who is shocked by the enormous appearance of Gulliver, who is a giant compared to him, he rushes off to warn the King Little of Lilliput, who at that very moment was negotiating with King Bombo of a neighboring country about the wedding plans for their children. Princess Glory, and Prince David. However, the two kings can't decide which anthem to play during the wedding, either Faithful or Forever. At this point, King Bombo declares war between the two kingdoms. After David says his goodbyes to Glory, he and his father leave. But unknown to Lilliput, 3 spies are left behind. Meanwhile, Gabby is able to tell King Lido about Gulliver, and per his orders, rallies the villagers together. That night, they tie up Gulliver while he's asleep and then transport him into town. While searching him for weapons, they accidentally set off his gun, which wakes him up. Gulliver is astounded to find out that everyone around him is miniature. But before King Lido's archers could react, Bombo's ships attack Lilliput, but are driven off at the sight of Gulliver. The citizens of Lilliput then befriend Gulliver, as King Lido gets the idea to use him as a means of defense against Bombo. And they even fit him up with a new set of clothes, just his size. However, not wanting to be undone, King Bombo sends a messenger pigeon to his spies, who then proceed to steal Gulliver's gun, which was on display. The following night, David shockingly appears before Glory. But before he could be arrested, Gulliver takes them both to a safe place where he learns about the reason behind the war, and suggests that they both sing the 2 anthems together as one song. Meanwhile, the spies write back to King Bombone, who gives them the okay to kill Gulliver with the gun, stating that he will attack at dawn as a distraction. During the messenger pigeon's flight back to Lilliput, he stops to rest, and is apprehended by Gabby, who then warns the town of Lilliput about Bombone's attack. As everyone heads to the shore to prepare for battle, the spies kidnap Gabby and get the letter back from him. They then proceed to shoot Gulliver with the gun. Once at the shore, Gulliver, in an attempt to settle things peacefully, pulls all of Bombone's ships in. But before the spies have a chance to shoot him, David intervenes and is nearly killed. Gulliver uses the opportunity to criticize everyone for being blinded by war. Once David is revealed to be alive, the two kingdoms then sing the new song Faithful Forever, symbolizing peace and harmony between the two kingdoms. The film ends with everyone building a boat for Gulliver, who then sails off into the sunset. Released in 1939, Gulliver's Travels was the second animated feature film after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And while successful, the film is considered inferior to Snow White, mainly due to the staff only having 18 months to work on the film, in contrast to how Snow White had a total of 3 years of production. As a result, I feel that the film feels more like an hour-long cartoon rather than a full feature film. There isn't as much character development, and most of the supporting characters are just there for the sake of comic relief, especially Gabby and the 3 spies. The only major significance of this film is that it would give Pleasure Studios more cartoon characters to work with, as Gabby, the 3 spies, and the messenger pigeon would each get their own spin-off shorts. On a side note, David, Gloria, and Gulliver were all rotoscoped, which in layman's terms is basically tracing over live-action footage, and then treating it like animated cells. Something that Disney has done themselves, but refuses to acknowledge. So unless you're a Pleasure Studios fan, I wouldn't recommend this film, due to it not having a very good conceived plot despite being based on a book. All in all, the only reason that the film was made was to try to copy off the success of Snow White. Thanks for tuning in to Critimation. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter, or support me on Patreon. I'm open to suggestions, and I will see you next time.